Everyone can be seated. Members of the jury, I hope you had a restful lunch break. We are going to continue at this point with the defense's case. Please call your next witness.
Before we call our next witness, we laid the foundation through Luis Rivera for Defense Exhibit 50. At this point in time, we'd like to introduce that into evidence.
Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Defense 50 is admitted.
Thank you. At this point in time, the defense would call Marisel Descalzo.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you please introduce yourself and spell your last name for the jury?
Marisel Descalzo. My last name is spelled D-E-S-C-A-L-Z-O.
And Ms. Descalzo, can you tell us how you're employed?
I'm an attorney,
Okay, what type of attorney?
a criminal defense attorney,
And how long have you been practicing?
since 2003.
During a period of time ending shortly after her arrest, did you represent Donna Adelson?
Yes, I represented her sometime in 2022 through maybe 3 months after she was arrested.
Okay. And I want to direct your attention specific to October, the late October and beginning of November of 2023. During that time period, was her son on trial?
I'm not sure about the dates, but it sounds about right.
Okay. During that time period, when her son was on trial and shortly after, did you have some concerns based on statements that she was making?
Concerns about Mrs. Adelson's mental state, yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us what those were?
She had made numerous statements about terminating her life if her son, Charlie Adelson, was convicted.
Did that cause you to take any steps or actions to determine what you needed to do?
Yes.
And what were those?
Well, first, I conferred with Daniel Rashbaum, who represented Charlie Adelson. So we discussed it, and we decided that we needed to call ethics counsel and call the Florida bar to determine if we needed to take any additional steps, such as Baker Acting her, or Baker Acting is putting her in a mental institution, or anything else.
Okay. After doing that, did you have further discussions with Mrs. Adelson about her mental state and what she was going to do to try to clear things up?
Mr. Rashbaum and I spoke to her further, and, you know, she told us that what she really wanted to do was she wanted, you know, to get away on a vacation with her husband. Her husband agreed that this would be good for her mental state, and so we discussed a potential vacation.
Okay. At that point in time, was there anything preventing Mrs. Adelson from traveling?
As far as Mr. Rashbaum and I knew, there was not.
Okay. And specifically, there were no warrants for her arrest?
My understanding from speaking to Mr. Rashbaum, that Mr. Rashbaum had communicated with law enforcement and that there was no outstanding warrant. I had been in touch with the prosecutor of this case, and I apologize because I only remember your first name, but with Georgia. And we had discussed previously, not around this time, we had previously discussed that I represented Mrs. Adelson, so I assumed that if anything would happen, that if there was a warrant or if Ms. Adelson was going to be arrested, that I would be contacted.
Did you advise Mrs. Adelson that if a warrant was issued, that you would provide her with that information so that she could self-surrender?
So the discussions I had with Mrs. Adelson weren't exactly like that. Mrs. Adelson discussed what would happen if there was an arrest warrant, and the potential things that might happen. The prosecutor had never guaranteed for me that Mrs. Adelson could self-surrender.
Okay. Did you tell her did you tell Mrs. Adelson that self-surrender was something that could happen?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And on November 6th, her son was convicted. Did you speak with her after that, specific as to her ability to travel?
I don't remember the dates, but there was discussions about her traveling after the conviction, because around that time was when she was making was when Mrs. Adelson was making these serious threats about her life.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor?
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, if someone has a warrant, is it up to the defendant or the suspect, the person who has the warrant, to dictate their terms of surrender?
I don't think so. It's up to the law enforcement.
It's usually up to law enforcement to decide how or where to apprehend that person, right?
Yes.
But, so it's not a requirement of law enforcement to notify someone when they have a warrant, but that is sometimes a courtesy that's extended, is that right?
That's correct.
And that is a courtesy that's sometimes extended in situations where, let's say, someone is not a flight risk, right?
It's in all sorts of situations you can have self-surrender extended to. I wouldn't limit it to only people that are not a flight risk.
Okay, would that be one situation?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. And you were told that by Georgia, by Ms. Kappelman, that you wanted to know whether she had a warrant, she could turn herself in. That was some amount of years ago?
It was definitely before Charlie Adelson was convicted. It was on a phone call that I had. I offered it, and as I stated, Georgia Kappelman did not guarantee that.
Okay. But that was before Charlie's trial or verdict?
Correct.
Okay. After the verdict, or I guess during the trial or after the verdict, did you disclose to anyone in the state attorney's office that Ms. Adelson was suicidal?
Of course I didn't.
Okay.
No, I had an attorney-client privilege relationship with her, and I don't think that would have been appropriate.
Sure. And why was she suicidal?
Because her son had just been convicted, and she was worried he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Was she also worried about getting convicted herself?
I don't believe that was even crossed her mind. She was only worried about her son.
Okay. Are you aware of a text message where she said that she was afraid she was next, but don't worry, she would take care of that?
I'm not. I'm sorry. Was that a text message to me, or?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. At the time of, were you present when Dan Rashbaum told her that she may make it to the airport in time, or she may get to the airport and not be able to make it out?
Mr. Rashbaum and I don't believe that was a telephone call. I don't believe that was in person. And I was on a call, and I myself also told Mrs. Adelson that we did not know whether there was, that we understood there wasn't a warrant, but that didn't mean she couldn't get arrested at the airport.
Okay. When you suggested, I guess, was the suggestion that you said that she take a vacation?
I don't believe I suggested it. I believe that that's something that was being discussed between Mrs. Adelson and her husband as something that would help her with her mental state.
Okay. So that's something they suggested, but not you?
Correct. I did not suggest that they take a vacation.
Okay. Did you know at the time that the vacation that they were suggesting, they were considering Vietnam, China, or Korea?
I did not know the location of where they were going.
Okay.
And it was never discussed with me.
So at that time, you didn't have knowledge that they were specifically looking for non-extradition countries?
I did not know one way or another where they would vacation to.
Donna Adelson was overheard by law enforcement debating between either committing suicide or fleeing to a non-extradition country, do you think that would change law enforcement's stance that she could turn herself in?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Overruled. The witness has opined on this matter.
I'm not law enforcement, so I'm not sure, and I've never been in law enforcement, so I'm not sure.
I can rephrase it. Would you expect that to change the stance?
If I was law enforcement and I heard a target of investigation discussing a flight,
As her attorney,
okay,
would you expect if she's overheard debating either committing suicide or fleeing to a non-extradition country that she wouldn't be expected to be able to just turn herself in on a warrant again after that?
I don't know. I think it would take, to be honest with you, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so it would be case by case. Probably that would make the bond hearing a little bit more difficult if those conversations were overheard. But every prosecution is different, and maybe the prosecutor would agree. I don't know.
Okay, 1 second. Specifically, though, about self-surrender, would you expect that to change law enforcement's stance as to self-surrender, not as to a bond?
Again, I think that that's specific to each case, and I don't know exactly what was overheard, so I apologize, but I don't really have a concrete answer for you, other than what I said before, that it would come up at a bond hearing.
Thank you.
Redirect examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Descalzo, prosecutor asked you about fleeing the jurisdiction. My client talked to you about a vacation, correct?
That is correct. It was not fleeing the jurisdiction.
And the state also asked you about fleeing or going to a non-extradition country. Have you, in your career, dealt with extradition from foreign countries?
Yes, I have.
And merely because someone is in a non-extradition country, does that prevent the United States from attempting to seek their return or their extradition to the United States?
It absolutely does not, especially if you're a U.S. citizen.
Nothing further.
You may step down. Is this witness going to be recalled for any purpose?
No, Your Honor. I believe she might be able to get the early flight to you.
You are released. Please call your next witness.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Defense would call Sarah Newhouse.
Please come up to the witness stand. Raise your right hand now. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
You can take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly. You may examine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Sarah Newhouse, and I am currently the Behavioral Wellness Coordinator for the Police Department. Back in 2014, I was the victim advocate.
You're a victim advocate for the Tallahassee Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in your role as a victim advocate, what does that entail when you work for the police department?
Typically, it's following up with victims that are victims of crime, usually persons crimes, homicides, suicides, sexual batteries, domestic violence, things of that nature. And it's providing support, kind of being a middle person between them and the police investigation team.
And in that role as a victim advocate, were you working on July 18th of 2014?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Did you have occasion to get assigned to be the victim advocate for Wendy Adelson?
Yes, I did.
And were you present for the vast majority of her interview with law enforcement?
I was.
Were you also present when Wendy Adelson called her mother, Donna Adelson, towards the end of that interview?
I was.
And did you have an opportunity to listen to the portion of the interview where Wendy Adelson called her mother?
I did.
And I'm going to show you what is marked for identification purposes as Defense 71. Did you have an opportunity to listen to this exhibit?
I did.
Okay, and is the portion of the recording true and accurate reflection of what you remember from July 18th of 2014 when Wendy Adelson called her mother?
It is.
Okay. When Wendy Adelson called her mother, do you recall Donna Adelson's reaction to being told that Dan Markell had been shot?
Yes.
Okay. Did this upset her?
She sounded shocked, I guess would be the word that you'd say.
And it appeared that this was the first time she was hearing about it?
Yes.
And did she make any statements that you could hear from where you were sitting?
I don't recall if I could hear other than reviewing the video, but it sounded like a normal amount of upset given a crisis situation.
Your Honor, at this point in time, I move into evidence Defense 71.
Any objection?
Judge, I haven't reviewed this exact item, but based on what the defense has represented to me is on there, I don't have an objection. I do want to review it on the break and reserve the right to object. So subject to that, no objection.
A lot of qualifications.
Well, there's just,
Members of the jury, we're going to take a brief break. The bailiff will take it to the jury room. You can be seated. If anyone needs to stretch their legs or use the restroom, please do it now.
it includes Wendy Adelson saying this is the worst day of my life before the call connects, and then it includes the witness telling Ms. Adelson she did an awesome job on the call after the call disconnects. So I would object to those two comments. I'm fine. I understand they don't tend to publish it right now, so subject to those objections, no objection to the exhibit once those things are removed.
Mr.
And-
Rizzo?
As I indicated to Ms. Dugan when Ms. Kaplan was watching it, I got to remember how I snipped it, but I don't have a problem removing the comment before and the comment after before it's published for the jury.
That defense 71 will be admitted. The proper redactions will need to be made. You can bring back in the jurors. Everyone can be seated. Defense 71 is admitted at this time. You may continue with your examination.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Did you hear any weeping or wailing going on at the other end of the phone during this phone call?
Not that I recall, no.
Did you know Donna Adelson?
No.
Have you ever met her?
No.
So you don't know what her normal demeanor is like?
Correct, I don't.
Okay. But Wendy Adelson, her daughter, presumably does know.
Correct.
And do you remember Wendy Adelson making the comment after that phone call that she handled that well?
Objection, Your Honor. That's hearsay. That's exactly what was asked to be removed from the file.
Please sit down. As to the hearsay, sustained.
No further questions.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor. We'll just strike the question from Ms. Kappelman.
Members of the jury, you are to disregard. The last question of the prosecutor is to be struck from the record. You may step down. Will the witness be recalled?
No, Your Honor.
As to your exhibit, do you wish to publish or just leave in evidence?
Not at this time, Your Honor. I do need to make the edits that were requested outside the presence of the jury so that it removes the two references. That could just take a few minutes.
Well, the jury will have a brief break. The bailiff will take you to the jury room once again. Everyone can be seated. Please make all necessary redactions and changes at this time. If there are no other witnesses for the defense, it is time for the decision to be made.
I can tell the court that co-counsel and my client are deep in conversation concerning this.
I am capable of seeing that, Mr. Zelman. No narration is needed. Mrs. Kappelman, once the defense rests, is the state intending to place or put on any rebuttal case?
I think not. If they rest without calling any further witnesses, that could change if Mrs. Adelson decides to testify.
Very well. At this point, I do need a decision. Mrs. Adelson, please rise. You've been placed under oath earlier this afternoon. Mrs. Adelson, I will advise you concerning your rights. You understand that you have the right to remain silent, and the jury will be instructed that your silence cannot be held against you in determining the merits of this case. Do you understand this?
I do understand.
Do you also understand that you have the right to testify as a witness in your case in chief on your own behalf?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
You understand if you do choose to take the witness stand, you will be cross-examined by one of the prosecutors.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
You understand that your credibility will be placed before the jury like any other witness.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
Have you been able to discuss or have you been able to discuss with your attorneys the two rights that the court has placed before you?
Yes, we've discussed the rights.
Concerning those rights as to whether you will remain silent or whether you will testify, have you made a decision concerning this matter?
I haven't. I'm not prepared to make that decision. This decision affects the rest of my life.
Mrs. Adelson, you're in the same position as every other criminal defendant who faces trial. Ultimately, you must decide whether you will testify or whether you will not. I cannot make you testify. Your attorneys cannot make you testify. But ultimately, you must choose whether you will testify or not.
I don't have to choose. I was hoping I would have some time to speak to my attorneys.
This has already been discussed, ma'am. What is your choice?
Judge, since I was handling prior witnesses while Ms. Fulford was speaking with Ms. Adelson, can I have a few minutes, please?
What exactly are we going to accomplish that we have not been able to since the trial started, pre-trial, the long recess yesterday, or even the lunch break today?
That's what I'm trying to determine, Your Honor.
I will give you exactly 5 additional minutes. From there, Mrs. Adelson has to make a decision whether she will testify or whether she will not.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If anyone in the gallery needs to use the restroom or stretch your legs, this is your opportunity at this point.